All right, here we go. Just took me a few minutes to get this figured out. Uh, cool. Okay. It's normally 8 a.m. would not be that early for me, so I was like, 8 a.m. will be the perfect time, except that, oh gosh, my children get me up at 4. So, oh, lovely, messy background. All right, well, I've got some questions on Facebook to start answering. So, let's see. And I guess there's a chat here too if anybody wants to pop in questions for me. So, first question is, how different was it growing up as white Hindu in a Christian dominated setup? Were you ever felt left out or alienated in your community? And most importantly, I want to know about your son. um, well, let me start with the fun part, which is that my son just turned 5, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. I mean, I started being the white Hindu, like I started all of this before I even met my husband. And my life is so different now. I actually have a daughter as well. So my son is 5, my daughter's going to be 3 next month. And yeah, it's really cool. You know, I thought that they would look like me because I have dark hair, dark eyes, pretty dominant genes, but no, they look just like my husband. Just so cute. And for those who don't know the story, oh, there are people here. Hi, topic. Yeah, I'm just answering questions that I got on Facebook. So I can also answer questions here from the chat too. So if you have any questions about me and being a non-Indian Hindu, go ahead and put them in there. Anyway, so if you don't know the story, I struggled a lot to meet the right person. I, struggled throughout my 20s dating and just not finding the right person, and it was very discouraging. And when I was like, I want to say 28 or 29, I went with my parents to India, and we went to see the Shankaracharya in the south, Sri Bharati Tirtha. And my mom was like, asking for a husband is not an unreasonable thing to say with an audience with a guru. So I was like, oh, all right. So she asked him in Sanskrit for a blessing for me to find a husband, which was adorable. And I met my husband 6 months later. It was just the easiest relationship, just like so obvious from the first date that we were going to be together. And then once we got married, we wanted to have children, and we were having a really hard time. And after a couple of years of trying, I went back to India again with my parents again. We went back to the guru, and I said, okay, I'm gonna ask for a blessing for children. And so I asked myself. I was standing there with my dad, and His Holiness, held up his hand and said, I bless you. And I'm not usually I'm usually a very grounded person, but I really felt something shift in me, like he had released some kind of karma. I don't know, but I got pregnant later that year, and now I have 2 children, Garrick Ravi and Priya Alana. Okay, we got some more questions in the chat here, and I didn't actually finish with the first part of this question. How different was it growing up as a white Hindu in a Christian-dominated setup, and were you ever felt left out or alienated in your community? I think I was very lucky that I grew up in the Northeast of America, where Christianity does not have quite as much of a stranglehold as some other areas. There he is. That's my son. It's very energetic. So it's a more diverse, open-minded, liberal kind of area. So it was like half the people I knew were Jewish, and there were other Hindus. It was not alienating, really. It was very like, yeah, there's lots of different kinds of people in the world, and that's fine. And the Christianity that I was exposed to, oh dear, little sibling rivalry. My husband is in charge of them right now. Oh dear. So the kind of Christianity that I was exposed to was not proselytizing, was not the kind that we, I don't know, have come to expect, I guess. So it was really like I was in college before I heard this idea that there's one path, there's only Christianity as the way to God. Like that was not something I had ever been exposed to before. So, yeah. So let's move on to another question. Ooh, we got some deep ones over here. If moksha is merger in the absolute or eternal life in service to the divine, how can so many people be interested in it? I don't completely understand this question. So I'm not sure if this person is asking how to get more people interested in it, or why are so many people interested in it. I'm going to guess probably they want more people to be interested in it. Which I don't know. I'm kind of a focus on yourself kind of person. I don't worry too much about what other people are doing, as long as, they aren't trying to force things on me. So I focus on my relationship with the divine and my journey towards moksha, rather than thinking about what are other people doing. I mean, I guess I have a kind of relaxed, like, we'll all get there at some point kind of attitude. Let me answer one of the questions that's here. Do you think Hindu funeral rituals need serious reformation? Oh gosh, that one's beyond me, I'm afraid. I have come to learn a lot about Hinduism in India and the culture around it, but I've only been to India twice, and I did not grow up there, so I'm limited in my knowledge, and I really don't know much about funeral rituals. I have not been to a Hindu funeral. I certainly intend to be cremated when I die, but that's about all the thought that I've given to it, I'm afraid. Are people make fun of you? No, I've really not had anybody make fun of me. And I remark often how amazing it is that I've been so accepted and so welcomed by just thousands of Indian Hindus. And I'm so appreciative of that. It is not what I expected. I was very nervous getting started in kind of coming forward online and being open about practicing Hinduism. I was very nervous starting to go to temples, and um, I've realized that any kind of feeling of not welcoming has been on me. Like, it's in my own head, right? So there's this stereotype of going to a temple and feeling like they don't want me here. They're kind of looking at me weird, like they're wondering what I'm doing here. And it's all like people actually are not thinking that. It's all going on inside your head. People they might be curious who you are, but they're not unhappy about it. Are people, yeah, we read that one. Please upload videos regularly. I'm going to try. I'm sorry. There's a question about that too on here on Facebook. What is the reason for your absence? I have just, boy, life gets so busy and the time flies by. And you just are like, wow, it is just moving faster and faster and faster. And of course, I'm a mother to 2 little ones now, and I'm trying to work on a career as well. My husband is a school teacher, which is not exactly enough money. So I don't know. I think about you all very often, and I think, oh, I should make a video, but after blogging for 10 years, I kind of have run out of things to say. So I'm going to try to show up more regularly again, but I don't know what to expect. How are other Hindus around you? So, I said I was very lucky. I grew up in the northeast corner of America where it's very diverse and liberal, but it's even more diverse here where I am in Maryland, and it's awesome. So I live, like before, I used to live in southern Maryland, pretty close to Washington, D.C., where there's some large temples and there's large groups of temples in like Lanham, Maryland. And now I'm in northern Maryland. And when I moved, and I told this story in my most recent video, but we moved because my husband got a new job, and we found the house because it was like 10 minutes from his job, and I didn't know what kind of community there would be in this area. So I go Googling, and there's a Hindu temple like 10 minutes away, or a little bit more than 10 minutes because his job is 10 minutes. So the Hindu temple's maybe 15 in the opposite direction, but like super close by. So I really lucked out with that. And I had been going regularly before pandemic, but I'm going to get back to it very soon. And I didn't have a chance to meet a whole lot of the community here because I was going to the temple in the mornings because I was a stay-at-home mom, and there was like nobody else there. So I'm going to start going to some of the events and some of the stuff in the evenings and try to meet more people. Because in the past I've done like bhajan groups and like things like that to meet people. It's always nice. Let's do one from Facebook. Why doesn't Hinduism influence their children at a young age, where in Abrahamic religions, madras and Sunday schools are generally compulsory? How has this led to Hindus not understanding their own religion? Oh, that's a really sad question. This is another time where I'm like, I hate to like talk about what other people are doing. I don't know. Like, people can do what they want. Whenever I hear, Hindus don't understand their own religion or don't care about their own religion, it just sounds, and this may be totally inaccurate, but it just sounds like oh, young people today, what's wrong with the world? Grouch, 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 And, just, there's a lot of kids that grow up in Abrahamic faiths and hate that they were forced and that there was so much dogma and that they weren't really able to ask questions. It's like, let's not turn into that. Hinduism is so accepting, so open-minded, and I don't want to destroy that out of fear, I would like for young Hindus to have a strong sense of self and to understand all of the beautiful, wonderful things about the Hindu philosophies, but I don't know of a good way to do that is not like forceful. I don't know. But as I said, I'm enrolling my children in the Bala Vihar programs that they have here, which is, Hindu Sunday school basically. And the kids that I've known who have gone through Bala Vihar programs are just such lovely, lovely children. They're just, they've grown up into very upstanding young adults. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that is for Garrick and Priya. Let's see, let's do one over here. Actually, there are many modern funeral rituals like water cremation and alkali hydrolysis, which match Hindu rituals, which can be adopted. Ooh, that sounds lovely. Let's see. we answered that. Whom do you fast on Navratri? Interesting. I do really like Navratri. I like fall Navratri as one of my favorite times. But I really have learned everything I know about how to participate in rituals and um, holidays. I don't know, holidays not the right word, festivals, from the internet and just studying and learning on my own. So I don't always do things in a traditional way or the right way. So I know with Navratri, we have like a few days dedicated to each goddess. And I wouldn't say that I have a focus on any particular goddess during that time, and I don't know if I'm supposed to. So let me know. Tell me more about it. Ooh, we're having an interesting discussion about cremation. Only fire cremation. Release your soul into Akash when your skull pop up. Burial cannot release your soul. Yeah. There are, there's people that really are so good about the exact precise ways of doing things, and I am not like that. So my feeling is like, we do the best we can, and the gods understand. Like, it's okay. So I am not super prescriptive, like, you must be cremated, you must be fire cremated, you must, or else, all is ruined. Like, I don't know. You'll still reincarnate, you'll still come back and try again. I don't think anything is too serious, but that's just kind of how I am. How old is my nephew now? Oh, I wish for your health, wealth, and prosperity, sister. Oh, he turned 5 last month. He is so big. He even lost a tooth. Oh my goodness. He's talking. He is so full of energy. He's like exhausting. He's confident. He is sure of himself. He's charming. Like, he loves people and people love him. He makes friends everywhere he goes, and he knows his mind. He knows what he wants. Oh, he's so handsome. Oh, he looks just like my husband, and he has like a little smattering of freckles along his nose. Adorable. I think they're playing outside right now with Brad. When are you planning to come to India? Oh, I hope I can come to India again soon. My parents make regular trips there. My dad has been probably 6 times now. They started after, I don't know how many of you know, I grew up in kind of a cult situation. It wasn't directly Hinduism, but it wasn't not Hinduism. So it was somebody that took Hindu beliefs and philosophies and then kind of erased the culture from them. So obviously I'm very unhappy about that. They didn't tell us it was Hinduism, of course. It wasn't until I was an adult that I started examining my beliefs and went, wait a minute. Yeah. So we, for my childhood, we were very removed from the Indian influence, even though we were learning Sanskrit, and I'm terrible at Sanskrit. I'm learning Hindi now, and I love Hindi. It's so much easier. But it's also like I feel like I'm at an advantage because I can read the alphabet because of my Sanskrit learning. But they didn't. We meditated on a Sanskrit mantra. The head of the organization was getting philosophy questions answered by a Shankaracharya in India, but we could only go through the leader. We could not directly know anything really about the guru that he was following. So it was a messed up situation. So it was after we left that my parents found the organization in the South and Sri Bharati Tirtha. And I was very skeptical, having grown up in a situation where I wasn't allowed to question authority and I just had to do what I was told. And then those people turned out to not be as holy, I guess, as I thought they were. So it was very difficult for me to trust a spiritual guide and a guru. But I was won over. As I said earlier in the stream, I was blessed for a husband and for children by this guru, and it totally worked. And my parents were convinced because they were like, we know the guy who does his taxes. So we know he's not like taking money and being, hypocritical and the things that a lot of the false gurus will do. Anyway, so where was I going with that? Coming to India, yes. So my parents started traveling every couple of years to go and have an audience with him and sit in the darshan hall and just spend a week there. And they invited me to go finally, and that was like, I would not have been able to afford the plane ticket on my own, so I was really, really glad for that. Oh, excuse me. So I went with them twice. And the first time we spent a week like exploring around the Bangalore area. And then we drove to Sringeri and spent a week there. And then the second time we started in Chennai and then took a plane to Mangalore and then drove from there to Sringeri. I loved Chennai. That is one of my favorite places in the world. And sadly, like I said, I've been learning Hindi, and it's been absolutely useless because I travel to the south. So, in Sringeri, everybody speaks Tamil, Kannada. Nobody speaks Hindi. I tried to speak to some people who just stare at me blankly because, no. I don't know, yeah. So, did not have foresight there. I almost started to learn Tamil because my husband had a coworker who that was her first language, and she offered to tutor me, and we started, and then she ended up moving, and I miss her. But I'm struggling as it is learning Hindi, so I've really fallen in love with it as a language, so I want to get that one very solid before I try a different language. But yeah, I hope I can come back to India soon because I absolutely loved it. People were like, you're going to have a hard time there. It's going to be such a culture shock. And it wasn't. It felt so natural. The moment I stepped off the plane, it was like, yep, I know this place in my soul, And I also, you guys probably don't know this, I'm on the autism spectrum. They used to call it Asperger's. That's kind of fallen out of favor. So I have some pretty severe sensory problems, and I get overwhelmed easily by loud noises, by a lot of sensory input. So people were kind of like concerned how I was going to handle the intensity that India can be, and it was like not a problem at all. So yeah, it was great. My parents were also a little concerned about what I was going to eat because I was also like, I'm very sensitive to the texture of food, and I was a super picky eater as a kid. But I love dosa. So I was fine. And I ate palak paneer, things like that, just fine. What is last truth for every mankind? Woo, big one. I try not to be too obnoxious in terms of believing that Hinduism is the right way, but of course I think it is. I mean, that's why it's awesome and I love it and it works for me. So, it's hard to separate yourself and say, well, it works for me, therefore it works for everybody. But I do think there are multiple ways of getting to divine unity. I think this is the simplest, the easiest, and the clearest. But that may not be the case for everyone. But the final truth is that we are all one soul. And that is what I absolutely believe. I am an Advaitin, and I absolutely believe that we are all the same divine being experiencing a play. So, our white Hindu believe in multiple god or goddess. That's another one that depends. I can't speak for all non-Indian Hindus, but I personally, like I just said, I'm an Advaita and I believe in unity. So I don't really believe in the gods as separate beings. I think that they are all aspects of the divine, and the divine is so beyond the comprehension of a human brain that we need those different aspects kind of shown in separate ways because we can't comprehend it all together. But I definitely know plenty of Hindus and white Hindus and other non-Indian Hindus who do believe in the gods as multiple separate beings. Do you know about Paramatma? Well, growing up, we certainly talked about Paramatma in terms of the supreme self. We didn't have a lot of ritual and prayer, but we did have these pauses. So we would come to stillness before and after activities and say, Om Paramatmane Namah, Ata at the beginning of activities and Iti at the end. Gosh, I almost couldn't remember it, which is amazing. Like my entire childhood, every activity would have that pause. Om Paramatmane Namah. We didn't even really talk about what it meant, but yeah, the way that I grew up was very Advaitin and very much believes in the self, the supreme self within that is part of the divine, that it's all one. Best thing you like in Hinduism? How am I going to choose? Oh my goodness. Oh, I love so much about Hinduism. It is really the exactly perfect path for me. I like the way that it has personal responsibility, which again, not every Hindu believes the same way, so not everyone believes this. But as an Advaitin and in my belief system, like you're responsible for yourself. You don't like do terrible things and then go, "Oh, God's gonna forgive me if I just ask for it." And I appreciate the lack of pressure, that we have time. It's okay. Like, if you don't get it right in this lifetime, you're not going to eternal damnation and hellfire. You're going to just try again. Makes so much more sense. Who did more damage to Hindus? European Christian or Islamic invaders? Ooh, that's a tough one. I will again say what I did before, that I did not grow up in India. I did not grow up with really a knowledge of the history of what happened there. We don't learn much about it in America. I'm sorry to say. We learn about Gandhi, and that's really the end of it. It's very sad. And colonialism has certainly really done a terrible number on India, and it's so frustrating. I don't know how, it can be undone. And that's a weird suggested group. Anyway, yeah, my cousin's calling me. All right, I have more questions to answer, so I'm going to call her back in just a couple minutes. But yeah, the damage of colonialism is just devastating. The invaders was obviously a lot further back. I can't really say for that. I do have a video of my thoughts about the relationship between Hindus and Muslims, and it's challenging. There's a really challenging history there. But I'm not the person to say what the answer is for that, Okay, let's real quick answer some more questions. Are foreigners interested in Hinduism? I don't know. We've had a very persistent belief here that Hindus are very closed off and you can't become a Hindu if you're not born a Hindu, that they don't accept converts. And what I have found from the connection that I have to all of you and all the Indian Hindus I know is that that's kind of a misunderstanding, that it's not that we can't practice Hinduism, it's that um, it's not forced on us. It's like, oh, like do whichever path you want. You should maybe look at the way you grew up, and you don't need to come and do Hinduism, but if you want to, sure. So that's been my experience. But I think it's very few people understand that they can be Hindu. Um, and I do find it frustrating, as many people do, that there's a lot of Hindu practices that people in America love, but don't realize that they are Hindu. So it's kind of frustrating. Do you know about Hare Krishna? They're awesome in debate and they promote Hinduism. They are something. Yeah, I do go to the Hare Krishna events they have a temple in Southern Maryland, and they throw fantastic parties. So I go to them for like holy stuff like that. Um, I definitely think people assume that I'm ISKCON because I'm white, that they are really the well known like people for that. So I'm not a Vaishnava. So it's not quite the right fit for me, but I do enjoy spending time around them. Do you divorce the politics of India from the religious that you practice that came from it? Ooh, yeah. So this goes back again to the same theme. It's I try to. I do. I try to separate the politics and the religion. Um, but it's difficult to. I spent many years writing on Pathos, where many different religions, people of different faith, have blogs. And there were so many articles that were really political. And I finally realized that it's very hard to draw a line between them. They both impact each other quite a lot. But like I said, I am not thoroughly knowledgeable about the politics in India. So I try not to comment on it too much, and to just do my thing. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how involved I should be. My parents are always like, "Would you stop saying political things? You're upsetting people." Like some of my family friends who are more liberal Hindus are bothered by my slightly more conservative stances on some things. Um, yeah, so I do try not to get into it. How do other Hindu people react when they find a white Hindu in temple? They are so lovely. And I spoke about this a little bit earlier in the stream, but I think that a lot of the nervousness that we feel as non-Indian Hindus walking into a temple, and the way we feel like we're being stared at, I think a lot of it's in our heads. I think that's been my experience, that I at some point realized that it's not that people aren't being welcoming, it's that I am not not giving them the benefit of the doubt, I guess. Like, of course, they're curious. They're wondering who I am, what I'm doing there. And mostly, I think they're wondering, like, can I help? Do they need a guide to tell her, like, this God is this one, whatever? So I do have to, like, tamp down my ego, which is a good thing to practice. But, there is the assumption that I am a newbie. And so everybody wants to educate me and tell me things that I absolutely already know. But it's lovely. It's a wonderful instinct, and it's not welcoming in the same way that a Christian church is. So, like, it's hard to realize, like, it's just a different kind of format, because in churches they have a very set time. This is when you show up, and we give you a program, and it says exactly what we're going to do. And there are ushers who are going to show you where your seat is. You just sit there, you follow along with the program. Then afterwards, they have a social tea and coffee snacks thing, and you can talk to people. So it's they often have like a welcome committee. It's very formalized, like welcome new people. Whereas obviously a temple doesn't have quite the same kind of set times and services going on, and you can come in at just about any time, and people come and go, and they're doing their thing and you're doing your thing. So it's a little bit hard for new people because we are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Am I going to look funny if I bow? What if I bow the wrong way? What if I walk around the hall the wrong way? Should I ring the bell at the Shiva Ling like other people are doing? Should I not? Like, but yeah, so it takes practice to get used to it. But the people I have 100% always found extremely kind and welcoming and happy to see me. The temple, my local temple here, the priest, like I was saying earlier, as a stay-at-home mom, I was going to the temple in the mornings and there would be nobody else there. So I'd be sitting there with my kids all alone in the hall, and the priest is doing the morning rituals, like waking the gods up, and then he'd come over and chat with me, and he was just so nice. He was really happy to see me. Um, yeah, so it's a good thing. Oh, I don't want to ask anything. I know your family from a very long time. Just be happy. Thank you. I really, some of you I have known for so many years now. It's amazing. You've really watched the progress of my life. Please regularly upload new videos. I'm going to try. I know my baby is so cute. My babies aren't babies anymore. Oh, let me see. I'm sorry. They're not here to show themselves, but I'll show you a picture. And then I got to call my cousin back. And hopefully we can do this again soon. Let's see. Where's a nice picture of them? Here they are, watching TV and eating a snack. That's Garrick, Ravi, and Priya Alana. And like I said, they have my husband's coloring more than mine, which was a surprise. They're so precious. I now also have a niece and two nephews. My brother has been building his family rapidly. He had twins this year. She kind of looks like me. All right, I'm going to call that a day and call my cousin back. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, I'll try to do this again soon.